Is it even on? Yeah, I guess it is. How y'all are? This your buddy George Jones over here at the Bergen Gun Range with my next installment on. Let's try and explain the concept. So recently, or ongoingly, I've used the term patrol rifle in videos. Perfect day for filming. Overcast, but it's about 95 degrees outside. No wind whatsoever. Just a nice day for filming. So I decided to come over here midweek and do this video trying to give an explanation of the concept of patrol rifle. So patrol rifle has in concept, in usage, has been around for a long time, a really long time. Patrol rifle has been around since the Old West. You know, it was a rifle that a lawman could carry in conjunction with his sidearm, to where if he needs a long gun, he has one. You know, that's the basic concept of patrol rifle. It wasn't really an issue until probably the late 1960s. Get rid of that thing. Put that over there. The mid 1960s, early 1970s, when firearms manufacturers realized that policemen were carrying rifles in the trunk of their car or in the ready rack in the front seat of the cruiser or something routinely, and they wanted to get in on the action. They wanted to come up with a concept gun that a general policeman could carry at all times in order to have a long gun. We'd kind of gotten away from it for a long time, and then in the 1930s, during the era of the motorized bandits, you know, guys started carrying rifles again. Machine guns, Thompsons, in the 1930s cost a lot of money. Departments didn't want to buy them. I mean, you know, they wanted their guys to have equal firepower to the motorized bandits who were carrying 35 Remington automatics and, you know, Leadman conversion full automatic pistols and things of that nature. But on the other hand, they were too cheap and lazy to put out the money. So, you know, guys were stuck with taking guns, bringing guns from home. What did they bring from home? Well, there was no qualifications in those days. There was no certifications of an individual firearm or type of firearm, you know, and most officers bought their own guns. There wasn't any specific qualification regimen required. You know, it was just a free-for-all. Now the sun's come back out, and we're digging for sunglasses again. Oh, Lord. This isn't going well. This is worse than my wife's purse. So, it wasn't until the end of World War II until specific rifles were available at a cheap enough price that law enforcement agencies could break down and buy guns to put in police cars. And the gun they typically got was this guy, U.S. carbine caliber 30 M1. And these became, even though the concept or stated concept of patrol rifle wasn't yet around, these guys became pretty much the standard gun that you would find in a law enforcement agent's vehicle or issued out in an emergency. The carbine, the 30 caliber carbine, sometimes in M2 configuration, sometimes in full auto configuration. Okay, so that stayed that way for a long time. And, you know, there was no sporting arms manufactured during World War II. Everything you saw was, manufactured in World War II was manufactured for military use. But in the mid 1950s, shotguns became prevalent again. And the number one gun was this guy, the Remington 870. There was some shotguns coming in from military agencies. The Marines had quite a few 37 Ithacas. And at the end of World War II, at the end of Korea, they turned over a great number of them to California law enforcement agencies. And those 37 Ithacas that you see in 1960s police video footage and training footage and so forth, they all come, just about all of them come from, the military. Later on, they updated, they got some new guns, that didn't come from the military, and they stayed with the 37 Ithaca, and I believe they still have them. Okay, but the 870 was pretty much regular every place else. In the late 1950s, the 870 got this rifle-sided smoothbore slug barrel, which a lot of states required shotguns for deer hunting because of safety issues. And, it was pretty common. Law enforcement officer could use a deer slug or a deer slug shotgun as a carbine a lot better than he could use buckshot. And you've all seen the buckshot patterning tests on this channel, and at longer ranges, buckshot's not very serviceable for a pinpoint shot. So, what happened then? Well, by the late 1960s, Ruger had got on the bandwagon and started to produce a rifle called the Mini 14. The first thing they did was they created one specifically for law enforcement application, which was this guy, the Mini 14 GB. Now, the GB was a real innovation in law enforcement long gun. The GB was specifically designed to be used as a patrol rifle and was the first rifle to be marketed as a patrol rifle. So Ruger put some design features into it that made it very applicable to law enforcement. First of all, they put a peep sight on it, which was adjustable in the same way an M14 or an M16 or something like that would be adjustable. Another thing was that they put military style front aperture on it, which made it easier for transitional training, because in those days, guys got out of the military and they went into law enforcement, much in the same way they do now. So having that sight set up makes it a lot better. Now, they put a NATO diameter specified with a ring on it, so you could put a rifle grenade spring retainer on it. And they did that because they wanted to also sell the Mini 14 to foreign military contracts. That kind of flopped. I think the only country that purchased Mini 14s was Saudi Arabia. And that was about it. I think Italy bought a few of them for carbine guns to complement their BM-59, but not very many. The biggest foreign contract on Mini 14 was with the French National Police Force. They bought a modified version of it, and they bought several thousand of them. Something like 35,000 of them. And they're in every police station in France today. They wanted something that looked different than their FAMAS, basically. You know, they wanted something that looked had more of a civilian authority look to it than a military look, you know. So that went along for a long time. So surplus M16s came on the available to law enforcement agencies. So the surplus M16 was a good idea, but it was a machine gun. A lot of agencies didn't like machine guns at that time. Some guns were modified to where they wouldn't fire full automatic anymore. And this is still a practice. I mean, the Kentucky State Police has a number of this type of gun today that they give out to law enforcement agencies, you know, on extended contract basis that have been modified to not fire full auto. Mainly the sear trip, the fourth hole, you know, the pin from the fourth hole has been removed and the sear trip is not in it, and the hammer has been ground in such a way not to accept the sear trip mechanism. But over the years, the concept of patrol rifle has come to this. Now this would be the most common patrol rifle in use today. This would be an M4 configuration AR-15 rifle in the standard military M4 configuration in semi-automatic. It's not a machine gun, so on paper it doesn't look like a machine gun. It is in fact a 5.56 caliber rifle. It will accept all 5.56 standard rounds. It doesn't shoot soft points well, but you can do a little stoning and a little custom work to it and make it shoot soft point ammunition better. It has an advantage over everything else because everybody knows how to use it. You know, the average guy that puts in to become a law enforcement officer, when he gets to the range, he already knows how to shoot an AR-15. So there's no transitional training, no heartaches, no headaches, no hiccups. You know, I work for the Department of Corrections and I'm an instructor for them. And 95% of our people that come to us already know how to shoot an AR-15 when they get there, okay? But we still have to conduct the training. We have to have it on paper that they know how. So that's where we're at today with the patrol rifle. It's this thing. Now, what would I prefer? Well, I'll tell you the truth. I like this. Yeah. Why do I like this? I like this because it's 2,000 feet per second, 30 caliber bullet. It's accurate in an effective way out to about 150 yards. Is there guys can get on the bench and shoot it at 300 yards effectively and accurately? Yes. I'm one of them. But in practical application, a patrol rifle will be used at 100 yards or less. It will be used well outside of pistol range application to inside pistol range application. You know, whereas a pistol is only good out to pistol range application, and that's it. You know, a 9mm in level flight from 5 feet off the ground will only make it about 80 yards until it hits the ground. A 45 will make it about 65 yards before it hits the ground. You know, a 10mm will make it about 110 before it hits the ground. But beyond, you know, this stated maximum effective range of a 1911 is 15 yards. Stated maximum effective range of a Browning high power is 25 yards. You know, stated maximum effective range of this thing is 180 yards. You know, stated maximum effective range of an M4 is 360 meters. So, you know, you may get in a situation where you need more range and more power. So therein lies the patrol rifle. Now, what about the shotgun? Well, many departments are still in shotgun mode and patrol rifle mode at the same time. Many departments have specified shotgun ammunitions that are certified for patrol use. And more departments are decertifying for patrol use the use of buckshot. Standard Foster slug style deer slugs or sabot slugs. And you can also shoot beanbags out of these guys, and you can launch tear gas grenades off of it. And there's a lot you can still do with a shotgun. 75 yards with a standard Foster deer slug is tremendous firepower and still pretty good hit potential. So these guys, if the agency planners are up to snuff, a lot of departments will have 2 gun racks in the front seat, one for the M4 style rifle and one for some kind of shotgun, because they're still viable. Mini 14s, you don't see them around much anymore. I was out in a situation a few years ago where a manhunt was going on in town, in Louisville, for an escapee from a correctional facility. Oh, this has been the early 2000s. And there were some federal marshals out, and they had these. Because the guy was a fugitive. And it's a federal crime to be a fugitive. And federal marshals deal with fugitives, among other things. So you still see the Mini 14 around. It's still a viable piece of equipment. All right, that's about the size of it. I hope that explains a little bit about, what a patrol rifle is, what the concept is, and the ground that they're trying to cover with it. As usual, like I tell you, certify, commentate, and subscribe. Leave me a $1 in the Patreon bucket if you want to, and if you don't, well, I'll keep right on making content for you. Be kind to everyone you meet, but have a plan. We'll see y'all.